And
Mm.
that's how we came to the idea of year zero and all sorts of fun things.
There, and we're in a society where a lot of people have these rules that we're all supposed to be playing by. A lot of them just don't make sense.
It's already kicked up everybody to the fourth dimension, whether they like it or not.
Abundance can come in infinite numbers of forms. It's really up to your level of creativity is kind of where I'm at. So that's part of his universe, right? He created that.
Hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host, Keegan, and this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. And I just knocked out my headphone thing again. Today, we are joined by a special guest. His name is Dale Walsh, and y'all have seen him on the podcast 2 times prior, and he has a special guest with him, and that is his co-host, and I believe his name is Hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host, Keegan, and this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. And I just knocked out my headphone thing again. Today, we are joined by a special guest. His name is Dale Walsh, and y'all have seen him on the podcast 2 times prior, and he has a special guest with him, and that is his co-host, and I believe his name is Andrew. Y'all know me, I'm terrible with names. So, here we go. We're going to dive into Dale's latest adventures. He's got his own podcast going, and they talk about some pretty cool things. So, without further ado, Dale and Andrew, how are y'all doing today? And thank y'all for being on the show.
Well, it's great to be here. 3 times lucky, they say. So this is where we blast off into fame together. And then just doing it with my sidekick at my side. And he's way beyond the sidekick. But Andrew and I met through a mutual higher awareness group and became friends. And I've been, as you know, I've been looking for a podcast partner for about 6 months. And after one call we had, he just called me and said, let's do it. So within 3 days, we had our first episode, and we're up to 29. And it's called The
Wow.
Do, as in my initials, DW. Andrew. Conspiracy. And whenever I tell people the name of the show, they say, well, what side are you on? What's your political lean? What conspiracy? And I just tell them, we're talking about the basic conspiracy. Conspiracy meaning breathing together. And we base our show upon the original conspiracy, which was the breath of God into the body of Adam.
Okay, interesting. So, Andrew, how did you get roped in onto doing this with Dale?
Yeah, that's the question we were waiting for.
Yeah.
Well, he missed the best part of the story. I don't know why he skipped over this part, but this mutual community, online community that we participated in, he showed up one Sunday morning, high as a kite on cannabis, and was very excited. One might even say borderline disruptive. But I was a cultivator. I grew professionally in Oklahoma for a few years, and still enjoy growing, cultivating plants.
Huh.
So I this is a clue. I should chat with this guy. So
Yeah.
we started chatting, and I watched your prior 2 episodes last night, and for sure the first one was right around that same time because he showed up so excited, for sure, he had reconnected with the planet, and it was taking him all the way to space. So anyway, that's how we started chatting for real, and we just liked chatting, and then we were chatting about things we both mutually enjoyed talking about. It's like he was doing pod match and matching up with hosts. I'm like, let's just do one, and so
Yeah.
we are. And it's been enjoyable to kind of have a more grounded, maybe if you want to call it that, experience, and then hit the do version of reality sometimes and just playing around.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's great that you got to watch his first episode, especially because that was his first joint after, what was it, 17 years, right?
Yeah. Basically, I was reaching out to Dale, and then you guys were chatting on the same day previously, and now we're doing it again, sort of.
Gotcha.
All together this time.
Yeah, everyone's on camera. So whenever y'all started conversing about everything going on? Was it like, hey, like, are you high, or was it like something else that got the
Well,
conversation rolling?
when I came on, well, first off, we were familiar with each other for about 3 months in this community together
Okay.
before we actually before I had my experience that drew Andrew to me. It, but so we knew each other, but then when I was like so enthusiastic about marijuana in that meeting, Andrew, as a grower and also as a possible friend, reached out to me and we connected that way, and then that developed into a podcast.
Uh,
Frankly, let me tell you, Keegan, 29 episodes of talking with Andrew has done for me more in therapy than 50 years of talking to doctors.
wow.
Just because, well, the thing that really that drew Andrew and I together is that he's the first guy who ever said to me, "I like you."
Huh.
In 70 years of life, that's the first time I can remember someone saying that to me. So
Huh.
that was like a bond that was like a basically unbreakable, and then we just grew from there. And then I became Lord Do God, and even as Dale, I had to do Christ, who was an END. And he basically got subsumed by the mental health system. But I've been looking for a prize for a long time, and Andrew showed up, and I'm Lord Do God, and he's Drew Christ. Basically, we've been talking about this a lot about how I've been in space for 50 years, but I was just waiting for the grounding of a Christ to bring me back down to earth fully in the Dialina body and to
Okay.
realize our potential, not only individually, but also together collectively, not just Andrew and I, but in a community such as this with you and other people.
Yeah. Okay. So, Andrew, whenever the idea of a podcast started floating around, was it your idea, or was it Dale sitting there going like, "Oh, I've been doing this podcast matching thing," and you're just like, "Oh, we can take it a step further."
No, it was 100%. I mean, it was 100% my idea originally. I mean, he was obviously very excited about podcasts, and he
Uh-huh.
expressed that to me. But yeah, it hadn't occurred to me that we could just do one until one afternoon I was walking with my dog near my house. I got this cool little like ravine that goes down to like a little creek, and I was down the creek and
Mm.
just had one of those,
Yeah.
high 420 thoughts that just rolled in, like we got to do this. And I think I don't usually carry my phone with me, so I had to like keep it. I had to hold on to that thought all the way up. But that wasn't that hard to do. It seemed so obvious after I thought about it, like that we would do this.
The
Yeah.
irony is that I'd been looking for someone to do a podcast with for 6 months.
Mm.
I'd already approached like 3 or 4 people, and then I just get this random call from saying, "You want to do a podcast?" Yes, let's go.
That's funny. So, Andrew, you didn't really have any inkling of an idea that Dale was looking to do something like that adventure, were you? Or was it just something that, like, you thought maybe y'all weren't able to do it for some reason? Like, is because that's kind of what holds a lot of us back from doing anything, right? We're kind of
Yeah,
told
see,
we can't.
well, that's part of the thing is, he calls me Drew Christ. Well,
Uh-huh.
I was coming into basically I at the beginning of the year I found this book called Christ Consciousness, and there's a trilogy, and the first book is called The Way of the Heart. And so and the structure is that you listen to each lesson. There's 12 lessons in the first book, and you listen to one per month. And I was doing it with a group of a few other people, and it had bringing together a lot of like thoughts and kind of philosophies I built through sort of a spiritual awakening process, and brought it into focus in a way that brought more clarity to reality. I don't know how else to put it. And so I had already had this like idea of incarnating the vibration, the frequency of Christ into now. And then he starts calling me Drew Christ, this crazy guy, and from a group I know. And I'm like, well, that seems like a clue. And so there were just like these little things that would happen along the way. That's like that's how I've been living my life, like literally the last 5 years, basically since 2019. It's been just following these breadcrumbs of life that lead you in a direction. Sometimes it looks a little weird, but it's also can be super fulfilling when you realize that like it's you doing it, and there's like a way to like ground into the physical part of this, and then there's also a way to play in space and kind of bring the two poles together a little bit more or something, or unite them. And I didn't know that's the quest we were on. It just felt really weird and awkward at first because I don't know what he was talking about. I watched you when you interviewed him. You just roll with it so beautifully. It was amazing to watch you just like, yeah. But I was like, what? The spaceship where? Like, but I'm like, whatever. I'm gonna be patient with it too. I don't have to talk over to him. I'm just gonna listen. Right? And I think that's what he's pointing to is like there was a presence in his life that had structure around it. We had a schedule, we had time dedicated to having these pretty, heart type conversations. And it literally created structure for the friendship to expand even more. And also he loves to talk. So it just, scratched that itch for him a little bit too. So it's been a mutual thing, but like, we can see the benefits of it from each perspective, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. It sounds like there's a whole bunch of synchronicity going on into play, and it sounds like you've been messing with synchronicity for the last several years. And that's one of the things is that, like you said, we never know when it's going to pop up. We never know what it's going to look like whenever it does. And sometimes it's like, seriously, like you want me to go that way? Like, what the f over there? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
I'm in this guy's apartment. I don't know if you know how long you've lived in this apartment.
I've been here 44 years,
Yeah.
and I've never had a house guest actually visit from a foreign city. I've had people who crashed here for various periods of time. But I've never, outside my family, I've never had anybody make a trip to actually visit me in THC. So when I say I'm in THC on THC, I just am like so thankful that I finally found someone who is willing to at least try to experience that with me.
Yeah.
Willing to try. We're here. We're doing it. It's no trying.
Right.
No trying involved.
Yeah.
But no, his apartment was filthy, and so we're cleaning it.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I mean,
that's real talk.
Yeah, you don't got a lot of guests over and stuff. It's kind of like where all the mess is.
It's like this life force that I can bring to like shift this thing in a way that he feels. I don't know. That's what feels true.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know how to put it.
And if this is the bridge of the Dialina, then it certainly has to be attractive.
Exactly. Bachelor pad can't be looking all shabby, bro. You just can't.
Right.
Yeah.
Attract some ladies.
Yeah. But that's kind of the thing too, is that the apartment being all maybe kind of messed up in a sense is kind of a mirror for like what's going on in here and up in here, right?
Right. Well, I had the same furniture for 33 years, Keegan. So
the feng shui is all sorts of bad.
And people see, they said, if you sit in my couch, then you better be ready to spend 5 minutes getting out of it, just like we're thinking to it, but
yeah.
that's the old Bad George pad. Now we're doing the dog nest.
Dog nest?
Dog nest. He's obsessed with ducks, the bird. Yeah.
Well, of course, you know the background, Keegan.
I mean, it's like part of his personalities.
Right. So, well, this is my second 7-year joke. I'm a Disney chipmunk because of Chip and Dale. So, did you know I'm also a Disney duck? Well, my initials are D-W. My father's initials were Lou, L-E-W. my best friend's name is Hugh, and Hugh's father's name is Donald. So you had Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Donald. So that's the background to the joke. Now, do you want to hear the joke?
Sure.
What do you hear when you cross the Disney chipmunks with the Disney ducks?
I don't know.
Me!
There you go, Dale. And that's the kind of experience that we want in life, right? We want to be able to say, I'm from this side of life and this side of life too, right? And that's what y'all are trying to do. Y'all are trying to bridge that space and the earth at the same time. And I mean,
With humor, too.
with humor too.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the big problems with the spiritual community and the mental health community is they take themselves too seriously.
Yeah. Oh, way too seriously. So whenever y'all started this podcast journey of y'all's, what was the first thought after y'all finished episode 1?
We did it. Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
We didn't even publish our first 2 episodes. I don't think we were
What?
saving them for later, and then later never
that's
came.
right.
And so we just kind of rolled with it. No, I think we did publish episode 1, and then we skipped like 2 and 3. Either way, it was like
Yeah, because by the time we would film something, and by the time we released it, it'd be anachronistic and out of date. So we just went immediately to recording and then releasing, so
Yeah.
that there was no time lag, and that's how we came to the idea of year 0 and all sorts of fun things.
Year 0. So kind of like ground zero of sorts. Like this is y'all starting point.
Well, I developed my own calendar over 20 years. Well, that was one of my projects when I was in my solitude, and so I have like a 9-month. It's a 9-month, 5-week, 8-day-a-week calendar that comes to 300, and even odd months have 41 days. So at the end of the 5 weeks, you have a free deal to catch up on with laundry. And then you have 9 months, and it comes out to 365 days. So we're now in the
I actually had Grok write HTML code for the calendar so we could know what day it is in year 0, and what month with the 8-day weeks and all that.
and the idea of the 8-day week is they're 5 work days, just like today, and then the 6th day is weekend, so that's where you get together and for the barbecues. 7th day is game day, and it's also release day of Dale and Andrew, and then we added the 8th day, which is the Sabbath, which is what God wanted in the first place, which was just like a day of rest. And as I say, explore the pleasures of your partner.
Yeah. I mean, that's
And
definitely.
instead of going to church, explore your partner.
Yeah. I mean, they do say that your body is a temple, so they never said you have to stay in your temple, right? Just saying.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Get it. Yeah, no, I mean I literally recorded a reel that all religion is the worship of Satan this week because I decided it was true and I was done with it. Like I don't need to attach to these stories anymore. It's getting real weird. And so I grew up super religious and all that, so there's some religious trauma in there. But at the same time, like if Yeshua was a real person who walked the earth, which seems like it's probably true, then maybe there's something to learn from what he did or what his frequency was, right? And so something we can tap into now. And so, like I've said, I've been listening to this channel and bringing that into my day-to-day experience, and it's led me here to this couch.
So, what kind of insights has Dale given you to have that kind of epiphany, if you will?
I don't know. I think for me, it was just the appreciation for his ability to create whatever universe he wants, whether it seems like it's tethered to something I perceive as like real or whatever, right? Because real is sort of what you make it, right?
Uh-huh.
And so that, and then I think a real like almost like a childlike playfulness to how he perceives things sometimes. I appreciate both of those qualities because I can be maybe there was a time in my life where I was too grounded. I was too much. It was in the real, and so the pendulum is swinging or something.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the reason the podcast really works so well is because we're such a balance. Yeah, I mean, this show is called Retrieving Sanity, and I am retrieving sanity, but Andrew has always been sane. He was raised in North Dakota. You can't get much more sane than that. So, and one thing I figured out was that North Dakota is the equivalent of biblical time Nazareth. Basically out in the middle of nowhere. But that's my belief. I'm sorry, but but what I'm saying is that for the first few episodes of the show, basically Andrew just gave me a chance to explain my omniverse in a way that no one had ever given me a chance to. That's really what the essence of what the message needs to be, because the more people, the more he understands me, the more he can interpret what I'm saying, and Heather, what he says he might have thought was unreal to his world, and through his interpretation, tether it to the rest of our listeners, so that they ultimately can understand me. Because when I used to go to the hospital, Keegan, it would take people 5 or 6 days, and they'd say, "Uh-oh, I'm starting to understand this guy." And basically, the first few episodes of the podcast were just like an instructional manual on how to understand Dale, because, and I'm not trying to say that egotistically and everything. It's just like I realize I speak a very complex, advanced language.
Yeah. Yeah. So Andrew is kind of the Dale interpreter or Dale translator, right?
I mean, it sounds, yeah, that's pretty close.
Well, at first, but now it's progressed to an equality of a place, So I'm, I'm.
I mean, he still brings in due history from time to time. Don't play like you don't.
No, I know, but you have room to let me express that. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and whether it's due history or whether it's dialing, genetic splicing, at least we've explained the ground rules enough, if you listen to the podcast, to know what the I'm talking about.
Yeah. And I mean, it's hard whenever we kind of sit there and we're in a society where a lot of people have these rules that we're all supposed to be playing by, and a lot of them just don't make sense in some way, shape, or form. And some of them don't play nice with other people's sets of rules and stuff like that. And then we find ourselves just kind of scratching our heads wondering why we can't get along with each other. So it's awesome that y'all are sitting here, have this kind of relationship going on to where it's able to make Dale's omniverse kind of be here, and then also, I guess, kind of populate his omniverse a little bit more at the same time.
Well, it's becoming more of since we're in the same space, it's becoming a bit of a co-creation, and so we're witnessing reality from a more, common perspective, and sharing our experience with each other. And it turns out we perceive reality fairly similarly, but we each bring our own beliefs and structures that we've built into our own universes, right? But yeah, they're bumping each other, they're overlapping in places, and we're getting to play in that space, and it's been pretty.
Well, tell them about the sunset tonight. How we were co-creating the sunset.
Well, here's where I'm at. If you want whatever you want to see, you can see, right? And so what you're looking for, you're going to see. And so we've been looking for the beauty in this world. We've been looking for the evidence of our creation of it, our co-creation, and so we see it all the time. But tonight in particular was, I mean, it was a baller sunset, like epic. The clouds were just so many different structures and waves and textures, and the color was shifting, and the light was just popping. The fall colors on the trees were just popping, and so it was just, these like
And
moments.
he and I were walking along through my old campus through Fairleigh Dickinson. So
Well, he calls it the palatial estate because it's literally, a block and a half from his apartment, and you enter this other realm of, grass and trees and birds and squirrels and a river running through it, and people walking on the trail, and it does feel like, so that's part of his universe, right? He created that or something, and either way, we get to experience it and share it. And last night the moon was just popping and the ducks were swimming. One came up onto the shore and was just like chilling. We were watching
we
it.
watched it for 10 minutes. It was just like this. I called it I said that's Dewey Duck because he didn't care about. I mean, people would walk by, people would bicycle by. He didn't care. He was just like on the side of the asphalt and just like walking back and forth and content as possible. And we literally had to sit down and watch him for 10 minutes until he took off. Well, he didn't take off. He just like went down.
No, we got bored, bro. That's
Right.
what happened. Dang, this moment felt like it was, and then it was like, oh no, he's actually here to just chill.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I mean, y'all got to sit there and have that kind of experience that a lot of people are sitting there trying to maybe manifest per se, or maybe they're sitting there trying to create that themselves, and they're just trying to go about it the wrong way, maybe, you think?
For me, it's being open to all forms of abundance, if you want to call it that, coming in. And abundance can come in infinite numbers of forms. It's really up to your level of creativity is kind of where I'm at. And so, and it's a self-reinforcing loop. That's the point, right? Instead of spiraling down into the problems, the depths, the things that, I mean, not that we don't ever descend, but that we are capable of ascending whenever we choose, right? And so it brings a level of consciousness, awareness to the experience we're having here in these suits while we're here.
And as you say, miracles compound. So if we hadn't seen the duck yesterday, we might not have seen the same sunset tonight.
Yeah.
It's all a Dale continuity, especially in THC, So, well, I'm not. That's all. I just wanted to say, people say miracles don't happen, and Ted Banks says at the beginning of his book, he says that people say miracles don't happen. I assure you they do. You just have to be on the lookout for. You just have to not even be on the lookout for them. Just be receptive to the possibility that they do exist.
Yeah, and that's a big one too, right? Being able to
I'm the next 3 levels after that. They do exist. They're actually just sort of the natural state of things.
Yeah. Whenever you think about it, pretty much everything that's going on is a miracle in its own right, because this whole life thing is just really weird.
Well, we're here to have an experience, and there's certain things that seem to be present in this experience. Like, I rode my mountain bike today. I really enjoyed that experience. Could I have had that in another realm? Maybe not. And so I'm doing earth here too. And then we're thinking about what it's like to observe it from like this third party perspective and kind of have this neutrality towards it too. I feel like that brings some it creates some freedom. It's not quite so serious. Like, it's like we can play with this a little bit, but also acknowledge that we're here. We came here for a reason, right? It seems like we're here, so we could like be sad about that, or we could do something with it.
Yeah, and y'all were saying that someone could decide to ascend at any point in time, even if they're somewhat feeling like they're going on the descent, right? So how
it doesn't have to look like a whole quantum shift. It just needs to look like the next fucking level up.
Ooh, yeah.
Just the next micro feeling better. Like, it could still feel really horrible. But that's the point. Is you don't always go from A to B. It's like
it's as squiggly as it's never linear.
Yeah.
And the thing to bear in mind is if you improve by 1% every day, in 1 year, you'll be 365% better.
Yeah, and that's a huge percent too, because at that point you're essentially another person.
Right.
And that's what it really feels like whenever we're kind of stepping into maybe ourselves, or maybe we're stepping into something that we were supposed to be, because kind of like what you were saying, Andrew, about the whole viewing everything from the third party neutrality viewpoint. In my opinion, it kind of takes away that responsibility aspect. Kind of, because it's like, if I can create my own reality, how much of it has been because I chose for it to be that way, but at the same time.
I think that's the structure that makes the most sense, and
Mhm.
also is the most empowering. And that's really now the filter that I put on all belief structures. Is it creating more possibility or less possibility? Is it creating, does it open something new to come in, or is it closed off to something new coming in? And if it's not empowering through that lens, I don't agree with it.
Expansion or contraction?
Okay, so we all are always looking for the expansion aspect, really, rather.
Well,
Right.
and not limitation either, right? Creating possibility. So it's like you could say it's always going to be this way, and now you've closed it. You've closed that off, right? You've
Mhm.
closed some of that possibility off. Or you could say this has been my experience up until now, or
Mhm.
something, like that. And it's still true. You're not denying your experience, but you're also not necessarily perpetuating it in the future because maybe you don't need to.
Yeah. Kind of like saying, I haven't been able to accomplish this, and instead of saying ever, you just say yet. Like,
Yeah.
I've not done it yet, but
Right.
there's the
And that's
possibility
the
that.
baby step. But eventually you're just like, oh, fuck. I would definitely put that in my universe if I was creating my. I would do that too, for sure. I would. I would
Mhm.
have this guy like bringing in his like something that's more interesting than the average you know
Uh-huh.
intellect. That's the attraction. Honestly, he's a genius and he's also weird.
And but just talking about expansion and contraction, and this was getting to the point that I just sort of like came across was this is a quote that I used. I spoke to Andrew today, but Nietzsche said the value of every truth can be judged by how much it makes you laugh. And therefore, I was thinking, basically, in a world of polarity, of expansion and contraction, for instance, the middle is the moment of that laughter where everything, I mean, there is no absolute good or bad. I mean, expansion is good, but also contraction is necessary, just like inhaling is as necessary as exhaling. But, you can keep a trend towards expansion, but you have to realize that there is contraction. I think what we talk about a lot, not only here but also in the group where we met, is this point of like harmony and balance. Balance, I think, it can be overestimated. Just yin yang, or as I say, the yang Yankee of things.
Yeah, so instead of polarities, what I'm hearing is the duality aspect of things, right? Because without one, there can't be the other, and they both serve a purpose that feeds the other one, and they have to keep doing their thing respectively, otherwise, everything just kind of falls apart.
That seems to be true. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, that's the point of being able to like kind of step away from it, because
Hmm.
when you're immersed in it, all that feels like it's pulling you around. You're reacting to it. It's causing you upset. Or, I mean, quick story. Like a friend of ours called us tonight, was like really upset because of an election result yesterday, right?
Hmm.
And that had like kind of ruined part of his day at least. And I'm like, I can't imagine letting my day be ruined by something so small. That's my opinion, because I'm seeing it from all the way up here, and that's looking like a detail. I don't live in that place, whatever it is, right?
Hmm.
And so that's like the peace part, and then the real life part is doing things together and having human experiences, with other people, and I kind of feel like I'm breaking him out of solitary a little bit. because we've been in this apartment for so long, right? And I'm just bringing a new understanding of his. I'm offering a reflection that he hasn't received because no one's taken the time to try or something. Or they've not been crazy enough to do it or something. I don't know what, but I guess part of it is like it's just being really present with another human, right? And then the words start to matter a little bit less. You feel the vibration, you feel the vibe, right, of the human who's with you. And if they're both operating authentically, I think that's kind of what you were pointing to earlier, then you get the real thing. You get presence. And presence is the coolest there is. That's the new drug, bro. Is it not?
Dale the Dale.
Dale
Just
the Dale.
is, right? When you can be present with human or nature or your dog or life, you're just here. You're not somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
It's a pretty empowered state.
And that's what I wanted to say about Andrew. That's what I was saying about Andrew earlier about the Lord You God Drew Christ thing, is that Drew is the grounding I've been looking for 70 years. It's been growing for 45 years. That we came into contact only when we were both ready for the next level of our own evolution. And he's taught me very much about like my warlike fantasies or tendencies or something, because having grown up in the 60s with Vietnam and everything, and he being born in 1980, he's never experienced a point where it's possible. I'm at Vietnam draft ended the year I turned 18, so basically I was looking at the next draft class. So, and Andrew's never been exposed to that, and he says that I'm very combative and like feisty and stuff.
Well, he writes a lot of poetry, and so much of the imagery is like wars and bombs and thermonuclear, like Armageddon and shit. And we're like, yeah, we're really pressing out the positive themes, aren't we, bro? Like, holy, let's take it easy. It'll be a love poem, like, flowing, and it's like, and then it all blew up.
But that's also the journey of my mental illness and how I use poetry too. I mean, because it really was like, I feel I was in the trenches of a war to the death for 50 years until Fred died. We mentioned Fred, but we won't go there. Basically, I was in a war. Basically, it's taken me a year to realize that I'm not on the battlefield anymore.
And
so that's what year zero is really about. I think at its essence is like a permission slip to say this is a new experience, actually. So the old paradigm, the old thought patterns that were so much a part of reality, they don't have to be anymore. It can be you can start with a clean slate, and then what create from there? Like, what would you actually? Once you cleared off all the dust, what would you put back in the space, right? And so we're on day 44.
44.
Year zero, and it's been liberating for me in some ways too, because the Gregorian calendar is both, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
So septa is not 9, right? Octa is not 10. Deca is not 12. So, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And 2 of them are named after Caesars. August and July. Julius and Augustus.
So it's like thinking about if we were going to create a new Earth, a new version of this, or shift to a different, not a different version, but like one that's just
another timeline.
Doesn't have so much of the bulk in it. Like, is it so heavily programmed? I don't know how else to put it. What would it look like? How would people interact? What would the structures be that still are helpful for society, and to kind of dream on that a little?
Yeah, and that's a really awesome thing to kind of do, because if we can't do that for ourselves, how are we going to do that for the outer world? How are we going to try to affect change or influence change in that direction? Because essentially, I would hope that most people would want a utopia of sorts where we're all recognizing that, hey, we're all people, We're all trying to get along. We're all trying to go
We're
home.
on the same team. Literally on the same team.
Exactly. It doesn't matter like what you think about it. We're all just people. We're all just humans. We're all just trying to do the same go home, have fun, and just relax, you know.
Right.
So why are we traumatizing each other? And instead, like we have some people that are traumatizing people, and then some people that are healing people, and then some people that are somewhere in the middle, and then you have all these weird extremes. And it's just, why is that? And it's because some people will go, oh, I was hurt in the past, so I deserve to hurt other people, or I don't know what to do with my pain, so I'm doing the same thing that happened to me. And it's just a weird dichotomy of things. But if we can't sit there and change our inner world like y'all are doing, we can't do that for the outer world, right? And I think it's hard because a lot of people don't want to do that year zero. They don't want to do that. Let me clear off this game board and start again. A lot of people are like, ooh, I like this rule because it keeps me safe here. Oh, I like this rule because it lets me tell other people what to do and stuff like that.
Safety is the root. And, you know, we'll express. I mean, I think there's been some safety even between our relationship too, right? And that being able to resource that, I've had it expressed to me from so many people, right, that they don't feel safe for whatever reason. And so I don't know. There's something there, right? Why don't people feel safe? Why are we struggling in that regard? And in my opinion, it's our attention. It's going to all this. We're doing too much of this and not enough of, oh, look at the tree, look at the squirrel. You know, I don't know.
As you say, Andrew, kingdom.
Kingdom, yeah.
We gotta do kingdom. You know, I'm a king in the realm of the Lord, and we are all kings in the realm of the Lord. And as soon as people start realizing that and taking responsibility for their own lordship over their own life, and quit externalizing and outsourcing all their power in order to feel more secure, then ultimately, you know, that's what we're aiming to change. And, you know, more and more people are catching the message, which is great. But but ultimately, truth will win out, and that's just something that people got to realize. And what I've said is, Dialene has already kicked up everybody to the fourth dimension, whether they like it or not. The bottom three dimensions of human communication have been shut down by the Dialena, which is approaching. And now that I'm fully Dale, it is going to manifest itself. And I'm just going to be feeling great when I walk into the Dialena because it hovers over the bridge of Teaneck Hackensack.
That's one heck of a way to put it, Dale. So thank you for that. I think that's something we could all kind of aspire to.
Well, I mean, let's just go there. When we were sitting on the bridge last night watching the moon, we looked the other way and there was these two bits of light. I don't know what they were. They were bits of light. So either the sun was reflecting out, but they weren't moving. So it could be some satellites, but they were right there, sparkling, whatever they were. And it just, you know, felt like I just had this vision of what if Elon Musk is trying to make all this technology and we just summon it and it's just here and it's ours, and he's just feels so silly that he didn't think of that. So yeah, it's our spaceships. They're coming to get us, and we're gonna go explore a little bit.
Yeah. Man, I can't wait until ETs do come by and tell us how wrong we were about so many things. You know, I think that's going to be the interesting part. I thought I knew what fire was. Fire makes things hot, right? No, it makes things cold. What? That'll be fun.
Right.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I feel like it's sort of a choose your adventure on some level. I mean, I think that's one thing that Dale has illustrated so interestingly for me, is to see how much leeway we do have in our creativity. He's having a human experience. I've been here. He's a human, quite confident, and yet he expresses it in a way that's different from me. And so, you know, it's something I'm learning about.
Yeah. Here's a question real quick. We are getting close to the end of this episode, which time just flies by whenever you're having fun. Oh, real quick, what's the name of y'all's podcast again? I don't know if we caught it.
New DW Andrew Conspiracy.
Gotcha.
Very easy.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Dale Edward Walsh, DEW. and then my name's Andrew, but we kind of break it up because it sounds like do Andrew. And conspiracy came because we breathe together. We literally do like a little breath work technique or something at the beginning of each episode just to kind of bring that into, because I believe the breath is so powerful in our lives. And so we are conspiring together, you and Drew.
And since conspire me in its base means to breathe together, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Con with Spire breathes.
Yeah, that's awesome. A lot of thought went into that podcast name.
It was
and I
just
love it.
inspiration. That's just pop, bro. That was nothing. That's just how it is.
And that's one of those things that we're always trying to get to, is that inspiration, and we're trying to make it instead of letting it come
you
to
can't
us, right?
try. It is. It's surrender to the flow. It really is.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah, I still use try, but I think it's Les Brown that says try is like a redundant word. Have you ever tried to sit?
No.
Try to try to eat a pizza? No, you eat a pizza. You don't eat a pizza. You don't try to eat a pizza. That's just something that
I'm trying. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, you're not doing.
Yeah, I wish I knew that a long time ago, but it's one of those things that I try and I try. It's
I know. We all
yeah.
do it. We all do it. It's part of the experience.
It means about where your attention goes is where your intention is.
Yeah, and like Andrew was saying earlier, that's one reason why we need to be so present, because that's where the presents are. It's where the magic happens, because if we're somewhere in the future in anxiety land, we can't really sit there and create or co-create the present and create a new reality that we step into, because we're just so caught up looking in this weird mirror.
And also we gotta leave the past behind too. And that's even more important at this point in year 0, because we're starting all over.
Yep. And you've got to sit there, you got to rewrite your boundaries, you've got to rewrite your rules, you've got to forget all of the old everything if you're going to really change. And that's a lot of people don't talk about that whenever they talk about healing and everything. And that's why a lot of people get stuck in this weird loop, and they're like, oh, I'm not getting any better. It's because you haven't destroyed.
Is actually what it is. The lesson is just like the fun part. Like, oh, I learned something new. The integration's the work.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, you've missed it.
Yeah, and it can be really, really hard to do. So it's awesome that we have y'all sitting there being able to knock out these kind of conversations between y'all, and then maybe y'all can get some guests on so y'all can have like.
We're planning on that, Keegan.
Yeah.
I think I had to bring him a little bit closer to Earth. That's how I felt, because I needed to know what the hell was going on at least. So we definitely have achieved that status, and we're super open to that.
Yeah, awesome. And I mean, I'm looking forward to it. And real quick, where can everyone find the podcast? Is it on Spotify? Is it on Podbean? Or is it on Apple?
Well, we're actually on YouTube. Every episode's on YouTube, and we just had a big problem with Podbean, and we're trying to figure.
We're on Spotify, and then for sure the RSS feed we're working on, but we are on other platforms as well. But YouTube and Spotify, who else cares about the rest, right?
Fair enough. One question I had for, I guess, maybe the both of y'all, I don't really know, because whenever Andrew was talking about Dale creating stuff, but in such a creative way that is like not really of this world, it kind of made me think, because one of the last guests I had, Emma Lyons, she was telling me all about shame and how shame is actually really not what I thought it was, and it actually held me back a lot further than I thought it did. So my question real quick to Dale is, have you ever like carried shame about the schizophrenia or anything else that came along with it?
Why do you think it's been 50 years to get out of it? And besides the fact that the system itself encourages eternal victimhood, that's like one major thing you gotta do. But the shame, and also not only the shame of the illness itself, but also sometimes a lot of shame grows out of what you did because you were schizophrenic.
Damn. Well, I'm really.
Well, I'll be perfectly transparent. I had a gay period in 1978 of 6 months, and basically I carried the shame of that for 35 years. And because things were very different in 1978 than they are now, and gay was like, and first I was doing pot all the time, and then I had a gay affair, and it's like everybody wrote me off.
They can go screw themselves. But I'm really glad that you're out of that shame spiral or shame cycle, Dale, because if it's helping you create this awesome reality that you're in, then I'm really glad that it did. But I'm sorry that you got stuck in that. And that's kind of the thing is
Well,
that,
it's part of upbringing, and it's part of it's part of if part of it was illness. Also, it's just part of consciousness and having a conscience, and
yeah, and
guilt,
just,
shame are part of the human experience you have to overcome.
well, but that's the thing is that in our society, we don't really talk about shame kind of like what we should because we kind of just shame each other and expect each other to get over that shame eventually.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, I got to ask, did you help Dale get like over some shame cycles that he didn't realize he was in?
I don't know. I like to phrase it differently. What I would say is I was going through a process of releasing my own shame and guilt,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe had been doing it a little bit before he started. But I also could reflect what it was like and that it was okay to do so, right?
Yeah.
And part of that was these new, transmissions I was getting because they were reinforcing that. And I was looking for contradictions in all of it, right? Like a program that would mash up against another program, or that would make me feel like it wasn't true, and haven't found it yet. So, and it's from my experience, the result of living by this code is only been more love and more like deeper connection in my life. So I haven't found the downside yet. I'm teaching love, and it looks like the love and what's shame don't mix.
No.
No,
So
they,
I teach love. We teach love, and that's it. And the rest just deals with itself.
And just to build on that a little bit, without the shame, I wouldn't be able to feel the love that I do. I feel that I've been that over time I've come to the point where I can feel some sort of like absolute love. But if I hadn't gone through everything that I had, that would have been impossible.
yeah, you bring up a really good point on that.
Contrast seems to be part of this experience. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I think it has to be because the concept of yin and yang got brought up earlier, and as yin and yang says, for every good there is some bad, and for every bad there is some good. And I think that that's kind of the thing, right? Because like you were saying, or both of y'all were saying at some point, without the shit, we wouldn't see the sunshine, you know.
No,
And
that's why I sing on my walk with Willow. Thank you for sunshine. Thank you for rain. Thank you for joy. Thank you for pain.
yeah,
Because we're here to have an experience, and when you can have that perspective, the pain just hits different, right?
yep.
And you can move through it instead of getting stuck in it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know. It just feels like a liberating code to live by, and so I want to share that with people. And he's the most open person I have found.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm super grateful that y'all found each other like that because I mean, whenever we're trying to just be, sometimes it's hard enough to just be, and y'all were trying to grow outward. And so it's like y'all both found each other at just the right time and everything. And it's that synchronicity. And it's like, who knows how, I bet y'all both co-created that reality at the same time and y'all didn't even realize y'all did it.
Andrew's always talking about the Venn diagram of universes coming in together. And basically, whatever agency, whether it's ourselves or a greater agency, I really feel brought us together. But we have we haven't merged our universes, but our universes are expanding together in a mutual experience.
Yeah. And I think that that's one of the best things that we can kind of experience in this life, because it's one of those things that someone can sit there and say, hey, watch this movie that someone else made. But it's even another thing to sit there and say, hey, let's make this movie together.
Literally, yeah.
But with that being said, we are at the end of this episode. So, Andrew and Dale, do y'all have anything y'all want to leave the audience with for this evening?
I want to thank you again for having me back, and if you want to keep us coming, feel free to. We're always ready to reschedule. I have sort of like taken a new policy of I only do interviews with people who have interviewed me before I got famous. So before the podcast. So basically, but thank you very much for having me back again. I'd love to join. I'm sure Andrew would too. Love to join together again, and maybe it won't be together on the couch next time, but we could still do it, virtually. So, and thank you very much for your time, Keegan, and your interest. And when Andrew was listening to your episodes last night, he says this guy doesn't get distracted by anything. So just thank you for your interest and your love.
Of course. Thank you very much, Dale, for that. But thank you for just being willing to be on the show and just express yourself and do what you've done, because it's been pretty awesome, I've got to say. And we wouldn't have had this awesome conversation had we not had the first two.
Right.
And Andrew, what you got?
Well, I guess I just want to communicate the human device. And I believe it's incredibly untapped potential. And so we're here to kind of play with it to see what's possible. And I think, we look for these external saviors. We look for maybe a medication or a doctor or whatever. And, those can be valuable in certain situations. I don't know. It's not been my experience, but I understand it can.
Yeah.
But also to remember, like, maybe try to get some more sleep at night. Maybe, go out and walk with your dog in the morning. Like these really grounding, but yet, and engaging, healthy activities, right?
Mhm.
That at least set you up for success, and to really ground into what potential you have within yourself to bring healing in your journey. Like if you can bring some of that structure.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid of your own power.
Well, that's a really good one right there. Actually, with both of those connected, they're really, really good. On their own, they're both really good. So yeah, synergy, synergy. It's 1 + 1 = 3. So,
Right.
But Andrew and Dale, thank you very much for being on the show today. And thank y'all for just creating more magic in the world and just being able to be part of the creation process. Andrew and Dale, thank y'all for being on the show. We look forward to seeing y'all on in the future again, because we've just got to figure out what this kind of dewdrop conspiracy is all about. Right. With that being said, everyone out there, thank you for listening to Retrieving Sanity on WDJY 99.1 FM. This has been Keegan, and this has been Dale and Andrew, and we will see y'all next time. But remember, first, if you're having any kind of mental health crisis, you can dial 988. If you're in the LGBTQ plus community, you can dial the Trevor Project up in Canada. Or you've got to try to love yourself, love others if you can, but you got to love yourself first. And we will see y'all in the next episode. So until then, much love.
Bye.